Hello and welcome to another opinionated esports piece. I'm Sam Carlson, and today I want to talk about setting realistic or having realistic expectations when dealing with esports. And I have two specific things that I want to talk about. And the first is getting a paying job in esports. This is my theory about it. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think I'm pretty close to being correct about this. But here's my idea. First off, established esports organizations are kind of operating as an illusion in my mind. From the outside, when we look at someone, say like teams who are hiring, people to write news for them, and they have their, their pro players and different rosters, and then they have, employees that help run the organization and stuff. These organizations seem very large from the outside. They seem like, they're the ones in the headlines all the time. They're the ones going to events. They seem all prestigious and stuff like this. So we have this kind of illusion where teams have a lot of disposable income. But I have a feeling that if you were to look at their books, you would realize that virtually all the organizations out there are running on razor-thin margins. They are literally riding along the edge, and any little thing that goes wrong is a very serious problem, and it could tip the scales in the direction of actually closing the company, which we've seen. Like, we see that every, 3 to 6 months or something. There will be some esports organization that literally shuts down because of financial reasons. And this is because it's just so volatile. This market is not stable at all. So in terms of like getting a job in esports, you need to really keep this in mind. You are entering a field that is really young, meaning that companies out there are like, you need to consider these esports organizations like startup companies. They are only going to hire the absolute best candidates for their organizations that they're willing to pay. Of course, this is why we see that a mass amount of volunteers running these things, like news media organizations out there for esports. It's like all volunteers because they can only absolutely hire the very, very, very best people. And the reason is because they don't know your value and they can't take a risk on an unknown. Basically, if they hired you and you weren't like the perfect candidate, you weren't willing to like do whatever it takes to help that company and do the work and work long hours and whatever, you literally as a person risk shutting that company down because they made a bad decision on you. It's not like a stable like a large actually established company. They can like hire someone, and if you don't turn out to be what they wanted, they'll fire you and find someone new. I have a feeling a lot of these companies, they don't have that luxury. They're literally like I mean, if you look at startup companies, like tech startup companies that get like venture capital and stuff, when they form a team, they pick like the cream of the crop. They're not going to just hire some programmer to like help build their website, or some financial analyst to like make sure their books are all good and plan their business plans and stuff like that. No, they're literally going to look for the best possible candidate, because if they don't get them, that company's not going to make it. So when you come into esports with this idea that I want to make it, I want to get paid for esports and stuff, you need to have that realistic expectation. They can't pay you unless you are literally going to be one of the very best people in esports, period. And to even get to that point, to even get like, you could come in with those intentions, but you need to prove yourself and earn your place in the field. And that's going to be by producing content or whatever it is that you want to do. You need to be doing that for like a consistent period of time, for a very long time, so that they see your track record and go, okay, we can take a risk on this person because look what they've been doing for year after year, simply out of passion or being a volunteer or something. So definitely, that's kind of like my theory about it. Why there's such a small percentage of people getting paid. Of course, don't let that scare you away. I mean, I think there's a really bright future ahead for esports, and I think it's just the fact that we're on the cusp of all this new stuff that we can't, organizations can't get away with paying people, but that will be in the future. Okay, so the second topic I want to talk about in regards to realistic expectations was the Major League Gaming Fall Championship that happened this past weekend. And this is just a short little thing, but we need to remember as fans and players and stuff who we are, how long we've been around, because so MLG had technical difficulties on Friday and early on Saturday. Their streams weren't working. For some reason, they switched to owned instead of just using Twitch like they always have. It caused a lot of problems. HD purchasers couldn't, they weren't able to have HD, or they weren't able to block ads, all sorts of things. So anyway, I was watching Twitter as this happens because I knew what was going to happen. There was an outrage, just constant tweets for hours and hours and hours long, people complaining about, scumbag MLG, fucking everything up and stuff like that. The one tweets that really bother me though, I understand that there's going to be some hate and stuff, that's to be expected, but the tweets that bother me the most are the people who are like, I bought an HD pass and I'm never going to buy from MLG again because of this, these technical difficulties. Those people piss me off, kind of, because we need to remember that this is super new. We are so young. I mean, esports has been around for like 12 years or something in the context that it is right now, but the technology for streaming and stuff like that has been around for only the technology that we have right now is really only been around for what, 3 or 4 years? That's nothing. That is so young. I mean, even no matter how much money you have as a company, if you're part of something really, really new like this, you are going to have problems. You're going to make mistakes, and there's just going to be all kinds of unexpected, unforeseeable problems. So if you're one of those people who are like, I'm never going to buy from MLG again because they're assholes and they ruined my experience or something, remember that this is new, and MLG isn't a huge company. I mean, they have millions of dollars to put into esports and stuff, but it's not like a massive corporate entity. And even if it was one of them, they would still have problems. I guarantee you they would. We could probably look at IGN, big company, but they still have problems. So please remember that. This is young, this is evolving, developing. We need to give them a chance. Give MLG a chance. They can't foresee everything. So that's all I wanted to talk about. Have realistic expectations. Support esports. It'll grow, it'll get better. We'll get there someday. I think it's not even super far ahead. I think in a matter of 5 years the landscape is gonna be so drastically different. So thank you very much for listening. If you have any comments, you want to argue a point or something, feel free to post in the comments. Otherwise, thank you very much for listening, and see you next time.